Okay, let's unpack this. Have you ever really stopped to think about language? I mean, the actual building
It's
blocks.
fascinating stuff.
Yeah, how even the tiniest bits of words, pieces you barely notice, have this huge power to, shape what we
Yeah.
mean and
It's just
understand.
like little hidden codes everywhere.
Exactly. It's like finding a secret decoder ring, right?
Yeah.
Hidden in plain sight.
Yeah.
Lets you see the machinery behind English.
Hmm.
So today we're doing a deep dive into that secret life of English words. Our mission really is to figure out how these little linguistic levers work.
What they tell us.
Yeah, what they reveal about meaning and how they kind of sculpt our everyday communication. Sometimes subtly, sometimes not so subtly.
It's about getting that X-ray vision for words.
That's a great way to put it, X-ray vision.
And, to guide us, we've got this great stack of linguistic research articles, really interesting stuff.
Right.
And what's really powerful about getting a grip on these tiny elements, well, it is like getting X-ray vision for language. You start seeing the hidden journeys words have taken. You understand why, say, unbelievable feels different from incredible, even though, they both basically mean hard to believe.
Okay, yeah. There's a nuance there.
Exactly. It's not just decoding new words, it's unlocking these subtle sort of emotional and historical layers in the words you use every day.
So where do we start? The very beginning.
Let's start at the absolute ground floor. Morphemes.
Morphemes. Okay.
These are basically the smallest units of meaning in a language. You can't break them down any further and still have meaning.
Smallest meaningful unit. Got it.
Think of it like this. Dog. That's one morpheme. It means, a canine animal. Simple.
Right. Dog.
But if you add an S to make dogs, bam, suddenly you've got two morphemes.
Dog and the S.
Exactly. Dog still means canine animal, but that S clearly tells you more than one. Each little piece carries its own distinct meaning.
That dog versus dogs example makes it really clear. So does that mean all morphemes can just float around on their own? Or are there different kinds?
That's a great question, and it's really key to understanding how words get built. We basically have two main types. First, free morphemes.
Free. Okay, like they're independent.
Exactly. They're like the words you already know, they can stand alone just fine. Walk is a perfect example. Makes sense by itself.
Sure.
But then you have bound morphemes. These guys are, well, they're codependent. They have to be attached to a free morpheme to mean anything.
Ah, okay. So they can't be alone.
Right. Think about that ing in walking. It's a classic bound morpheme. You can't just say ing by itself and have it mean anything.
No, definitely not. Ing is nothing alone. So like dis in dislike, that's bound too.
Yeah.
Or the ed in mist, or like pre in prejudge.
Exactly right. All bound. Those prefixes and suffixes, they just can't exist independently. Now, here's where it gets even more interesting.
Uh-huh.
Sometimes a single morpheme, right, with the same core meaning can actually show up looking or sounding different.
Wait, same meaning, different form.
Yeah. We call these variations allomorphs. Think about the morpheme that means not.
Okay.
It can be in insane,
Right.
or illegible,
Okay.
in impossible, or in irregular.
Okay. In ill, M-I-R, all meaning not.
Fundamentally, yes. It's still that core not idea, but the form adapts, often just to make pronunciation smoother with the word it's attaching to.
That idea of allomorphs is pretty wild. All those different not prefixes. Does that mean we just have to memorize every single variation? Or are there patterns? Maybe looking at how they attach helps.
That's a good insight. There are definitely patterns, but yeah, a lot is exposure and understanding the pieces. And that leads us perfectly into affixes.
Affixes. Okay, that sounds familiar.
These are just a specific type of bound morpheme. They're kind of the unsung heroes of word transformation.
Word transformers, I like that.
And they come in two main flavors. Prefixes, which, stick to the beginning of a word.
Like in unhappy.
Perfect. And suffixes, which attach to the end.
Like evely and happily.
Exactly.
So it's not just sticking letters on, it's really changing the word's whole identity somehow. What's their main job? What do affixes actually do?
Well, their main job is kind of twofold. They either change the word's core meaning,
Okay.
or they change its grammatical function. It's part of speech.
Ah, right.
Yeah.
Like noun, verb, adjective.
Precisely. Think about the verb read. Add the suffix er.
Reader, that's a person, a noun.
Right. Or add able to read.
Readable, that describes something, an adjective.
See? The affix dictates that shift. It totally changes how you use the word in a sentence.
It's amazing how much work those little additions are doing. And, beyond just changing meaning or word type, they make language more efficient, right?
Definitely.
Like, why say not happy when you can just say unhappy?
Exactly. It's shorter, clearer.
And it just flows better sometimes.
Now, this is where it gets really interesting and maybe a bit tricky sometimes. It's the difference between derivational and inflectional affixes.
Derivational and inflectional. Okay, let's break that down.
Let's start with derivational affixes. These guys can be either prefixes or suffixes.
Okay, both positions.
And their superpower is that they very often change the meaning of the base word. Think like versus dislike. Totally different feeling.
Right, opposite meanings.
But maybe even more importantly, they can change the part of speech. Like is a verb. Add a lobable.
Likeable. That's an adjective. It changed class.
Exactly. Derivational affixes are also how we get loads of new words. You can stack them up too. Think of declassify becoming declassified, or unlikely becoming unlikeliest.
Wow, you can really build complex words that way.
You can, and a little rule.
Yeah.
If a word has both derivational and inflectional suffixes, the derivational ones always come first.
Always. Okay, good to know.
And interestingly, a lot of these derivational bits were borrowed into English, especially from Latin and Greek.
Ah, history creeping in.
Totally. Like those not prefixes we talked about, ill, im, in, non, they mostly come from Latin. And think about medical terms.
Oh yeah, tons of Greek there.
Right. Ortho meaning straight in orthodontics, hyper meaning excessive in hypertension. We even get hybrids, like a Latin prefix on an Old English base, like dislike.
So it sounds like derivational affixes are the real innovators creating new words, changing categories. Are they, like, predictable? Can you slap them onto anything?
Not always. That's a key point. Derivational affixes are generally less productive.
Less productive, meaning...
Meaning they don't apply uniformly across the board. While able is pretty productive, you can add it to lots of verbs to make adjectives, like washable, eatable.
Sure.
You can't just take any old adjective and add if to make a noun. You have warmth from warm, right?
Yeah.
But you wouldn't say cool from cool. It just doesn't work. It's not a universal pattern for that suffix.
Okay, so they're powerful, but a bit picky.
You could say that. Now let's contrast that with inflectional affixes. These are much simpler, really.
Simpler how?
Well, first, they are always suffixes. Always at the end.
Okay, only suffixes.
And here's the crucial difference. They do not change the word's core meaning or its part of speech.
Ah, so they just tweak it somehow.
Exactly. Think boy versus boys. Both are nouns, right? The S just tells you it's plural. The core meaning of boy hasn't changed.
Right, still a boy, just more than one.
And English has only a tiny fixed set of these inflectional suffixes, just 8 of them.
Only 8. That's manageable. What are they?
You've got the plural S, like in cats.
Okay.
The possessive S, like cats.
Right.
The third person singular S for present tense verbs, like she walks.
Walks, yeah.
The past tense eds, like walked.
Mhm.
The present participle, walking.
Okay.
The past participle, which is often like walked, but sometimes ends like eaten.
Eaten. Right. Different form.
And then the comparative taller.
Taller.
And the superlative est, tallest. And that's it.
Wow, only 8. So inflectional suffixes are really just about grammar plurals, possession, tense, comparison, not making new kinds of words.
Precisely. They're all about grammatical adjustments.
And they sound much more predictable than the derivational one.
Oh, absolutely. They are highly productive and very regular. You can pretty much add a-ing to any verb or as to make almost any noun plural. They signal grammatical relationships or number, but they don't invent new words or shift categories like derivational ones do.
Okay, this distinction is actually huge.
Yeah.
And to really see the impact, let's look at that word unlockable. It's such a brilliant example.
It really is.
Because it can mean 2 totally different things, right?
Yeah.
And it all depends on how you build it with those affixes.
Exactly. The order matters.
So first meaning not able to be locked. Like this safe is unlockable, the mechanism's broken.
Right. In that case, you've got the adjective lockable first, and then you add the prefix un, meaning not. So unlockable.
Not lockable. Okay. But then the other meaning
is able to be unlocked.
Right. Like, yes, this tricky puzzle box is finally unlockable.
And in that case, the structure is different. You take the verb lock, add un to make the verb unlock.
Okay, unlock the verb.
And then you add the suffix able to that verb. So unlockable, able to be unlocked.
Wow. Same letters, same spelling, unlockable. But the way those affixes are layered completely flips the meaning.
It's a perfect illustration of how derivational affix order changes everything.
Mind-bending stuff. And speaking of spelling, adding suffixes often messes with the spelling of the base word, doesn't it?
It certainly can. English spelling, well, it has its moments. But there are some general patterns or rules, even if they have exceptions. They help make things a bit more consistent.
Okay, what are some common ones?
Well, there's the doubling the consonant rule. Usually, if a word ends in a single vowel, then a single consonant, and you add a suffix starting with a vowel.
Like or ing.
Right, you often double that final consonant. So fat plus becomes fatter. Run plus ing is running.
Fat or running. Okay. Any catches?
Yeah, words ending in W, X, or ni usually don't follow this, like fixing, not fixing.
Good to know. What else?
Another big one is dropping the silent E. If a word ends in a silent E, like drive, and you add a vowel suffix like e.
You get driving, the E disappears.
Exactly. But again, watch out for exceptions. Sometimes the E stays like in likable or sizable, maybe to keep the K or Z sound clear.
Ah, okay. Likeable, sizable. Then sometimes you keep the E.
You do. Often if the base word ends in ses or gooj, to keep that soft S or J sound before suffixes starting with e or o, like advantage plus us.
Becomes advantageous. You need the E for the J sound.
Precisely. Also, when adding suffixes like me or buffle, the E usually stays. Care plus uffle is careful.
Careful. Okay, got it.
Then there's the changing U to I rule. If a word ends in a consonant followed by a, like beauty, and you add a suffix, that often flips to an I. So beauty plus uffle becomes beautiful.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Exceptions here too.
Oh, yeah. Think dryer versus dryer. Or sometimes the Y stays before certain suffixes like hood in babyhood.
Okay, dryer, babyhood. It's tricky. One more.
Slightly weird one. If a word ends in IE, like die or lie, and you add ing,
What happens?
the E changes to Y, so you get dying, lying.
Dying, lying. Okay, that is a strange one. It feels like a lot of rules and exceptions.
It can seem that way at first glance, but, these patterns, even with the odd exceptions, actually help make English spelling more predictable overall.
Right, they're not just random. They reflect how sounds work together.
Exactly, and understanding them is pretty essential for clear writing. They're part of the system.
Okay, so we've kind of cracked the code of the bits inside words. Now let's zoom out a bit. How does language use these pieces and other tricks to create entirely new words? This feels like where the real creativity comes in.
It really is. English is incredibly flexible here. And affixes, those transformers we talked about, get used in really inventive ways, often breaking their own rules.
Like how?
Well, think about a little kid, maybe 3 years old, saying something like, I'm not joking, I'm reeling.
Reeling. From real.
Exactly. They instinctively took an adjective, real, and turned it into a verb, probably with the ing inflection, to say they were being genuine. It's brilliant, really.
That's fantastic. Language creation in action.
Or remember reading how a journalist described Margaret Thatcher, saying she handbagged her opponents in Europe.
Handbagged, I remember that. Taking the noun handbag.
And verbing it, creating this really vivid image of her hitting them metaphorically with her handbag, meaning, forceful persuasion.
It paints such a picture. So that's using existing parts creatively. What about other major ways we get new words?
Oh, there are loads. One of the biggest and most productive is compounding.
Compounding. That sounds like just sticking words together.
Pretty much. Joining two existing base words or morphemes to create a new word with its own distinct meaning. Like hot plus house isn't just any house that's hot.
It's a hothouse, specifically for plants.
Exactly. Or black and board, giving us blackboard. It's super common.
And the spelling can change over time, right?
Yeah.
Like sometimes it's 2 words, then hyphenated, then 1 word.
Yeah, that happens a lot. Think policeman, maybe becoming policeman, while something like police officer tends to stay as 2 words. And listen for the stress.
Ah, the stress pattern. You mentioned White House.
Right. A White House just describes color, but the White House, the residence, puts heavy stress on white. Compounds often have that characteristic first element stress.
Interesting. Okay, what else? Borrowing.
Huge one for English. Lexical borrowing, just wholesale adopting words from other languages. English has always been a massive borrower.
Give me some examples.
We got skirt from Old Norse back in the day. Coffee ultimately comes from Arabic. Bagel is from Yiddish. English is like a linguistic magpie.
A melting pot for sure. Okay, next.
How about functional shift, also called conversion?
Functional shift.
This is where a word shifts its grammatical function, its part of speech, without actually changing its form at all.
Like using a noun as a verb.
Exactly. Bottle is usually a noun, but you can say, she bottles her own jam. Now it's a verb.
Ah.
Or think about brand names. Google started as a noun, the company name.
But now everyone says, I'll Google it. It's a verb.
A perfect example of functional shift. It happens all the time.
Okay, what about just making words up?
That happens too. Root creation, inventing totally new words. It's rarer, but it happens. The word Google, the number 1 followed by 100 zeros.
Google, yeah.
That was actually coined by the 9-year-old nephew of the mathematician Edward Kasner. Just made it up.
No way. A 9-year-old invented Google?
Yep. And sometimes brand names become so common they become generic terms for the thing itself, like using Kleenex for any tissue. That's close to root creation, in effect.
Kleenex, Hoover, Xerox.
I know.
Yeah. Okay, keep them coming.
We also shorten words. Clippings, super common. Flu is clipped from influenza.
Right, phone from Gym from gymnasia.
Exactly. And then there are blends where you smush parts of 2 words together.
Like brunch.
Perfect. Breakfast and lunch blended into brunch, or smog from smoke and fog.
Smog. Even podcast.
That's right, from iPod and broadcast. A classic blend.
Oh, acronyms and abbreviations too, right?
Definitely. Using first letters, acronyms are pronounced as a word, like NASA or AIDS.
NASA, AIDS. Got it.
Abbreviations or initialisms, you say the letters, like FBI or CIA.
FBI, CIA. Okay, slight difference in how you say them.
And one more clever one. Back formation.
Back formation. Sounds like going backwards.
It kind of is. You create a new word, usually a verb, by removing what looks like an affix from a noun. For instance, people had the noun television, and they thought, that ion looks like a suffix, so they removed it to create the verb televise.
Ah, so the noun came first and the verb was derived back from it.
Exactly. Or burglar existed first, and people backformed the verb to burgle.
Burgle from burglar. That's wild.
And just to see how powerfully word formation can capture something huge, think about 9/11.
Yeah, you mentioned that. More than just the date.
Way more. It instantly became the term for the attacks and their aftermath. Not just September 11th. It's concise, impactful.
And iconic, like you said.
Yeah.
The numbers themselves. 911 for emergency, the 2 ones.
Right, visually evoking the Twin Towers. It perfectly captured the event's significance, the start of a new era. It shows how language can crystallize history and culture into a single, unique formation.
It really does. Okay, so we have all these ways words are built and created. But what about meaning itself? How do we even agree on what a word like chair means? Seems simple, but is it?
Oh, it's surprisingly slippery. You mentioned chair. The Oxford English Dictionary lists something like 16 different meanings for it.
16 meanings for chair. Wow.
Yeah, and it's not just complex words. Remember that study by William Labov about cups and bowls?
Vaguely. Remind me.
He showed people different container shapes and asked if they were cups or bowls, but then he changed the context, like, imagine it filled with mashed potatoes instead of coffee. And people's answers changed. What they called a cup with coffee, they might call a bowl with mashed potatoes. It showed meaning isn't always clear-cut. It can be fuzzy, scalar, dependent on context.
Mashed potatoes change everything, so it's fluid. How on earth do dictionary makers and lexicographers handle that? How do they pin down meaning?
Well, they don't really rely on intuition. They rely on data. Massive amounts of data.
Data, like counting words.
Sort of. They use huge digital corpora. These are just vast databases of real text and speech books, articles, websites, transcripts. Think billions of words. The Collins Word Web, the Oxford English Corpus.
Okay, so tons of real examples.
Exactly. And they use clever software tools. One key tool is a KYIK concordance. KYIK stands for keyword in context.
Keyword in context.
It basically pulls up every instance of a word, say chair, from the corpus and lines them up neatly, showing the words immediately around it.
Ah, so you can see how it's actually being used over and over again.
Precisely. By looking at thousands of these real-world examples, lexicographers can identify the different patterns of use, the different senses or meanings a word has. That's how they capture polysemy.
Polysemy, the multiple meanings thing, like chair the furniture and chair the person in charge.
Exactly. It's about documenting usage, not dictating meaning from on high.
So it's descriptive, not prescriptive.
Yeah.
Based on how people actually talk and write.
That's the modern approach, yes. And they follow certain principles when writing definitions. Traditionally, it was often genus and differentia.
Genus and? Sounds biological.
Oh, yeah. It just means defining something by its general class, genus, and what makes it different, differentia. Like a chair is a type of furniture, genus, designed for one person to sit on, differentia.
Okay, that makes sense. Furniture you sit on.
Some definitions are more encyclopedic, giving more detail. Dictionaries focus on defining headwords like cup, not usually separate entries for cups.
Right, define the base form.
And modern dictionaries often include collocations.
Collocation.
Words that frequently hang out together, like we say strong T, not usually powerful P, or make a decision, not do a decision. Including these helps learners sound more natural.
Ah, common pairings. Useful.
Learner dictionaries also use a controlled vocabulary, simpler words in the definitions themselves. And a big shift. Definitions are often ordered by frequency now.
Most common meaning first.
Usually, yes. So for a word like impact, the abstract meaning like effect or influence might come before the physical meaning of collision, just because it's used more often these days.
Interesting. That reflects how language changes.
It does. They also use real illustrative quotations from the corpora, not made-up sentences, and they try hard to avoid circularity.
Meaning you don't define word A using word B, and then define word B using word A.
Exactly. No defining lynx as a type of bobcat, and bobcat as a type of lynx. You need to break the circle.
Seems like a huge complex job. Are there other, maybe more theoretical ways linguists try to nail down meaning?
There are. One approach is componential analysis.
Componential analysis. Sounds like breaking things down.
That's the idea. Trying to define words by breaking them into basic, abstract semantic features. Like, you might define man as having the features plus human, plus adult, plus male. Woman would be plus human, plus adult, anti-male, or plus female.
Okay, I see the logic. Like atoms of meaning.
Sort of, but it gets really difficult really fast, especially with abstract words. What are the components of freedom or justice?
Yeah, good point. Seems limited.
It is, but there are variations. Linguist Alan Cruz suggested defining words through lexical contrasts, basically defining chair by saying what it isn't, and contrasting it with progressively similar things like it's not a thought, it's not a cat, it's not a trumpet, it's not a stool, building up its features that way.
Interesting. Defining by difference.
And Anna Wierzbicka proposed semantic primes, a small set of supposedly universal concepts like big, small, good, bad things say that she believes form the basis of meaning across all languages. But these are more theoretical frameworks.
Okay, fascinating stuff. Now, shifting slightly. Words don't just have meaning, they also seem to point at things.
Ah, yes, pointing.
I remember hearing this great example on a radio show once. These two brothers, Ray and Tom Magliozzi, they both said, totally independently, don't drive like my brother.
Right, the car talk guys. Classic.
Yeah, the words are identical, don't drive like my brother. But who they were pointing to was completely different. Ray meant Tom, and Tom meant Ray. How does language do that?
That brilliant pointing function is called desis, D-E-I-X-I-S.
Desis.
It's all about how words anchor utterances in context, who is speaking, to whom, where, and when. Their meaning shifts depending on these factors, and there are several types.
Let's break it down.
Okay, first is referential deixis, which deals with words referring to entities, people, things. This itself splits. You have exaphora.
Exaphora, like outside.
Exactly. Reference outside the text dependent on the immediate context. Pronouns like I, we, you are prime examples. Who I is depends entirely on who's speaking.
Right. I means you right now, but if I say it, I means me.
Precisely. Or saying, look at that, while pointing at something. That only makes sense if you know what's being pointed at in the real world. Exaphora is super common in speech because we share the context.
Makes sense. Pointing outside the conversation, what's the opposite?
Endophora, reference inside the text itself.
Endo, inside.
And this has two flavors. Anaphoric reference points back to something already mentioned.
Anaphoric, like I saw Sophie Green yesterday, she looked tired.
She points back anaphorically to Sophie Green.
Got it. She refers back.
The other is cataphoric reference, which points forward to something coming up later in the text.
Cataphoric, forward, that seems less common.
It is a bit more literary, perhaps, like, although he was tired, the man kept working. He points forward cataphorically to the man.
Ah, okay. He anticipates the man. Interesting.
And within reference, we also talk about generic versus specific reference. Students need more support, refers to students generally, as a class.
By any students.
But the students need more support usually refers to a specific group of students we already know about.
The specific ones. And that ties into articles, right? A versus The.
Exactly. That's indefinite. You probably don't know which one. Versus definite, the student we share knowledge of which one. Articles are key dialectic markers.
Okay, so that's pointing at things and people. What about pointing in space?
That's spatial DXs, using words to locate things and ourselves in space relative to the speaker's position.
Like here and there.
The classic pair. This and these are usually proximal near the speaker. That and those are distal further away. Here is proximal, there is distal.
This book right here, that mountain over there.
Perfect. Even prepositions like in, on, under function deictically, relating objects in space relative to some reference point, often the speaker.
Okay, space covered. What about time?
Temporal DXs. Anchoring utterances in time, again, usually relative to the moment of speaking or writing.
So words like now, then, yesterday, tomorrow.
Absolutely. Those temporal adverbials are key markers. Now is the time of speaking. Yesterday is the day before speaking. Next week is the week after.
All relative to the now.
Exactly. The present moment is the default anchor point. And, crucially, tense markers on verbs are deictic too.
Ah, verb tense. You said English only really has two morphological tenses.
That's right. Built into the verb form itself, we only clearly mark present, walks, and past walked.
So how do we talk about the future? We definitely do that.
We do, but not usually with a dedicated tense ending on the verb. We use modal verbs like will or shall, I will walk tomorrow, or the phrasal structure of be going to, I am going to walk tomorrow, often combined with those temporal adverbials like tomorrow.
So future is cobbled together in a way.
Linguistically speaking, yeah. It's expressed paraphrastically using extra words rather than inflectionally. And then there's aspect.
Aspect. That's different from tense.
It is. Tense locates an event in time, past, present. Aspect describes the internal temporal structure of the event. Is it ongoing, completed, repeated? We have the perfective aspect, often using have, plus a past participle like I have finished.
Yeah.
It usually signals completion or relevance to the present.
Have finished. Done.
And the progressive aspect, using be plus ing, like I am working, it signals that the action is ongoing, in progress.
Am working. Happening now.
And these combine with tense. You can have present progressive, am working, past progressive, was working, present perfect, have worked, past perfect, had worked. They add layers to how we express time beyond just simple past or present points. They describe the flow.
Wow. Okay, so DXCs covers pointing at people, things, places, and time, all anchored to the context of speaking.
That's the essence of it. It's fundamental to how we use language to connect with the world and each other.
So what does this all mean for you, our curious listener? Well, it means that these seemingly tiny, humble parts of words, morphemes, affixes, they're actually incredibly powerful tools.
They really are. They shape meaning. They fuel linguistic creativity.
And they even control how we understand and talk about time and space.
Yeah.
It's embedded right there in the grammar, in those little bits.
Absolutely. And, getting a handle on these concepts isn't just some dry academic exercise for linguists.
No.
It's genuinely like a superpower for anyone who uses English. It helps you expand your vocabulary faster, decode unfamiliar words you come across.
Yeah, you see un or enable, and you instantly have clues.
Right, and you start to appreciate the amazing flexibility and honestly the elegance of how English works. It's like getting that secret decoder ring we talked about, but for everyday communication.
So if every word really is a kind of universe, and these tiny elements, morphemes, affixes, deictic markers, are the fundamental building blocks,
Yeah.
what new worlds will you discover next time you really pay attention to the words all around you?